be those areas that we're watching. This is a look at the tornado ingredients, and you can see the spin, the instability. We're seeing those values there, and basically what this is telling us is by midday Thursday and all across the area, those conditions becoming more favorable for tornadoes. So that means we could see a watch. That's what a tornado watch means if we do get that on Thursday. And then you can see right in there the data really pinpointing along and south of Interstate 59. It looks like we really need to watch it here during the peak heating of the day around 3 to 4 o'clock. And it looks like that severe threat starts to kind of wind down 7 to 8 o'clock Thursday night once we kind of lose that peak heating of the day. But the instability, once that ramps up and we've got the wind energy, the potential is certainly there for strong to severe storms. But it looks like as the night goes on, we'll see that risk slowly drop off. So again, timing wise, this is what we're looking at Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 o'clock. This is the arrival time, by the way. You see a lot of these maps, and it's often more difficult sometimes to determine this far out, when it's going to actually end. But I'll just tell you, let's go back to that map if we can there, Michael. But just want to show that map to show the arrival times for these storms. 11 o'clock, you can see 1 o'clock there on that arrival time for those central areas, and then the arrival time across eastern areas there from 3 to 5 o'clock. But that's a map Lauren put together earlier, and I think we've got a pretty good handle on exactly that. This is going to be more of a daytime into the evening threat. That's been rather consistent, so at least we don't have to worry about those overnight threats. I know it's been so many times we've had that past midnight severe weather threat that we've been talking about. I want to go to meteorologist Lauren Linehan right now. And Lauren, I was just mentioning, this timing map here. We're really going to have to watch it, make sure we have multiple ways to get those alerts on Thursday.
Yeah, that's right, Wes. And actually, we talked with meteorologist Matt Daniel and Mickey Ferguson today, and they had some insight on a good way that can help you when it comes to severe weather to differentiate between watches and warnings.
Well, we're getting started today. What is this? Is this Taco Tuesday?
It's Tuesday, and there's a taco behind you, so yeah. I think you're right.
Okay, but we're getting into more. There was a guy a while back that talked about a taco watch and a taco warning.
Isn't that weird?
It is strange.
What does that even mean?
I don't know. It's very similar to tornado warnings and watches. For the taco watch, he had all the ingredients together for making a taco, but no taco yet.
Right.
And then when you have a taco warning, you have all the ingredients that come together and it creates a taco. And it's very similar to that with the secondary tornado season.
That's right. So in able to have severe weather, you have to have all those necessary ingredients. So this guy, I guess he works with the Weather Service, but I saw this all over social media. And as you're talking about, you need ground beef, you need taco seasoning, cheese. What do you put on your tacos?
I put a little bit of everything.
Yeah, so you need all that to get the perfect taco. And so that's what happens when they talk about watches versus warnings. We see the ingredients are there, and if they come together, then it's a warning. So that's the idea behind the analogy of weather and tacos. So
I like it.
Let's talk about the actual ingredients that we look at when it comes to severe weather. So, we have long-range models that can see things beyond 7 days. Of course, we talk about beyond the 7-day. Really, the big thing that we always need when it comes to severe weather is you need moisture. If it's dry, you're not going to have any storms.
Yep, and that's, this weekend, drier weather, cooler weather, and thinking we're out of the woods, so to speak, as far as severe storms. But before that happens, the dew points are going up this week, and that provides us with moisture in the atmosphere. But another ingredient is instability.
That's right, and it's just how unstable it is. And we use scientific term CAPE, and it measures how much unstable air is in the atmosphere. You might not see it a lot of times on television because it's kind of complicated. It's something that we look at. But when we see that instability, that's definitely fuel for storms to develop. And usually if I see a lot of instability, that's going to mean these storms are going to produce lots of lightning, probably some large hail, and that could aid in maybe tornado development. But in able to get tornadoes, you need that third element.
Yeah, so you've got the heat, you've got the moisture, you've got the instability, and then you see the forcing or lift that is basically your wind shear.
That's right. So you got winds moving aloft in different directions, picking up in intensity and speed and all that, and we're looking for that. So you need a cold front, area of low pressure that can kind of lift and create that spin, and then when you combine all those ingredients together, that's when we get that outlook together. So this is just one model, and these models change a lot, but as you can see for the setup going into Thursday, and once again this model is going to change, but it is showing we have something that's going to force some storms together, cold front. Those green colors, that shows how much unstable air is there. So we know there's some instability, and we have some winds moving around. So that means we know that there's a chance for severe weather. The models have been showing that for the past 5 to 10 days.
And that model shows the instability in the wind shear. What the risk categories mean, you know, we start out, it goes all the way up to 5. We actually have 0 risk, but 1 is a marginal risk, then we have a slight risk, and enhanced, moderate, and high. It's very rare you get a 4 or a 5. That's when things are very serious. And anytime we get, you know, past an enhanced, we're going to usually issue one of those first alert weather days. But this is not the case so far as we're heading into the Thursday event.
That's right. So 4s and 5s are the moderate and high risks. Those are on the upper end of the scale, and you literally need to have all of those ingredients, and they have to have a lot of those ingredients.
Yeah.
So imagine with the taco, you got lots of taco meat, lots of cheese, lots of everything, and it's the
cream.
best taco ever.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it would be the worst storm. So.
Yes, it would. Yes, it would.
So that's the analogy when it comes to ingredients, what we're looking at. So it's all about understanding those risks, knowing what's there, and being prepared when severe weather strikes.
Only problem is now I'm hungry.
Same. You know, it is dinner time.
Okay, let's go hit that.
All right.
Some of us are actually hungry right now, but it's all good. It's Taco Tuesday and it's Valentine's Day coming up on First Alert Weather Extra. We have some updates with some natural disasters, some recent and some back in 2022. Hurricane Ian, an update on that out of Florida. Right now, wildfires raging across Chile, and the Middle East has still been dealing with the aftermath of a deadly earthquake. And then here at home, talking about that next severe threat. First Alert Weather Extra. We'll be right back.
Every storm has a story, where it came from, where it's going, and the lives impacted in between. Where our story begins is with your First Alert, warning you well ahead of time so the chapter in between isn't filled with surprises. The largest team on your side, dedicated to telling the story that starts and ends with you. This is why we First Alert.
First Alert, we are tracking
In times like this,
We now have a tornado warning that's active.
having a way to see and hear what's happening on your phone,
The most intense part of this storm right now is tracking towards Shelby County.
that means everything.
Okay, you need to get in your safe place now. Stay there. We will let you know when this warning expires. Stay with us.
Download the First Alert Weather app today. Stay alert. Stay with the First Alert Weather Team. Mornings, they're yours. Where you start fresh, get your body moving, and tackle a new day. Our mornings are for you. Janice, Mike, Mickey, and Toy, starting early and staying with you all morning long. With more voices speaking to you where you are, and getting to the point with more First Alert weather and traffic from the source you trust. Always on your side. This is Good Day, Alabama.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Linehan. Hurricane Ian left a path of destruction when it hit Florida last September. Now, months later, victims of the storm are still struggling to get their lives back in order, and they say they see no urgency in the federal agency that's supposed to be helping them. CNN's Gabe Cohen reports.
We're trying to get it cleaned out.
This was Lee McCall's home, ravaged by Hurricane Ian in September. This is where her family lives now. The 86-year-old and her husband are in an old RV on their property. Her daughters are in one tent, her grandkids in another.
At my age, what am I going to do?
She's still waiting for her insurance payout, but they spent a month in their cars, so this, she says, feels like heaven.
I thank God for what she got. And I do every day.
More than 4 months after Hurricane Ian pounded southwest Florida, many homeowners here are still homeless, some living in difficult or even dangerous conditions.
Is completely unsettled.
Nicole Williams moved back into her damaged home last month after she says her rental assistance ran out.
The mold situation in there is terrible. I can barely breathe.
But you're still staying here.
I don't have a choice. It's here on the street.
You can see we got a lot of stuff in there still, but
Bobby Mann and his wife have been sleeping in their car
it's our bed.
or inside their hollowed house.
It breaks you, and physically, emotionally, you're drained, you're exhausted.
And 73-year-old Sonny Reeves, a retired Marine living in this RV, is frustrated by this spray paint on his driveway.
Not knowing what's going on.
It means he's been approved by FEMA for a free temporary trailer, but he says he's been waiting for it since October.
I don't know, maybe I'm not calling the right person.
In fact, all of the survivors we interviewed, few of whom had insurance, told us they've been approved by FEMA for temporary housing units, but they have no idea when they're coming. It's become a heated issue in this area. While FEMA has provided nearly $1 billion in individual assistance, they're behind on distributing housing units. Nearly 3,000 households have been approved for direct housing, but as of last week, FEMA says only 225 had received it.
Where's the sense of urgency? Why is nobody helping these people?
Brian Hammond is chairman of the Lee County Board of Commissioners, an elected Republican. He blames federal red tape. For example, it took until January for FEMA to bypass a policy that says they can't put trailers in a flood zone. Most of these survivors live in one.
They actually made the system too big and too cumbersome to get through to respond to a disaster.
But FEMA defends their process.
Do you think more needs to be done to cut red tape to be able to deliver these trailers now?
We don't have any issues with red tape at the moment.
Keith Denning is one of the FEMA officials leading this recovery. What some call red tape, he calls federal regulation.
We're working faster. We're ramping up the direct housing operation.
Frustrating. We're so frustrated.
But Roseanne and Paula, two widowed sisters, have had this FEMA trailer on their property for more than a month, and they're still locked out of it because the water still isn't hooked up. And until it passes inspection, they're not allowed inside. FEMA's rules. So they're still living with little power, hauling water from their neighbor's house to boil for showers.
At this point, what's the timeline to get the rest of these delivered?
We're looking at, on certain sites, private sites, commercial sites, that would be commercial parks, sometime in the middle of March, have all of those needs filled.
FEMA says they have provided assistance to tens of thousands of families for rent and repairs. A new border crossing opening today is bringing a rush of new help to millions of homeless and hungry in the Turkey-Syria earthquake zone. Survivors have to get most food and medicine from distribution sites, and some say there's just not enough to go around. But today, the opening of a second border crossing into Syria is helping shipments flow more quickly. And on this Valentine's Day, Godiva, the Turkish-owned chocolate company, is stepping in to help providing more than $10 million of aid through shipments of supplies and donations. And we have new video right now on Weather Extra. This is just amazing. You can see the second of two brothers being rescued from underneath rubble from that earthquake in Turkey. This is more than a week after the quake hit. Unfortunately, we now know that the earthquake has killed an estimated 41,000 people. Meanwhile, on the other side of the equator in Chile, raging wildfires have turned deadly with at least 24 people killed and more than 2,500 injured. A drought combined with extremely hot weather, if you think about it, it's summer down there right now, has made fighting the fires difficult.
Help from a heavy hitter. A DC-10 tanker plane sent by the US dumps tens of thousands of litres of water over wildfires in Chile. It's part of an international effort to extinguish the raging flames, which have spread in the south and central parts of the country, burning more than 300,000 hectares of land. The air operations backing up a force of nearly 6,000 firefighters on the ground, many of whom are volunteers, as well as hundreds of emergency workers from countries around the world. Despite all the human power, hot temperatures combined with dry, forested land are creating tinderbox conditions. One man says he was spraying down his property with a hose when the fires quickly encircled him. He says he took shelter in a clay oven for over an hour before his family could save him.
I got in with a chainsaw, the dog and the chick were inside, and I threw myself face down on the floor.
At least 24 people have been killed, over 1,200 homes destroyed, leaving many residents living in tents or shelters. More than 2,000 people have been injured, and there are health warnings because of the smoke. Then there is the emotional toll.
My daughter is telling me not to worry, that we'll all get by. But it's painful because it was years of sacrifice.
Soldiers have begun patrolling the streets at night, enforcing a midnight to 5 a.m. curfew in many of the affected areas. The government says it is to prevent theft and looting. Chile has so far arrested more than 24 people with possible links to the fires. Michael Holmes, CNN.
So as Michael Holmes was saying, they have instilled a curfew, and what we're going to be watching in the days ahead, of course, is to see how those recovery efforts do continue to go, not just there in Chile, but also in the Middle East. But coming up next on Weather Extra, bringing it back here to home. First alert for severe threat. On Thursday, Chief Meteorologist Wes Wyatt returns with a look at that super 7-day forecast, and then I'll take you beyond the 7-day. We'll be right back.
Are you noticing mold or discoloration in your shower? Or maybe you just want to replace that old bathtub with something more modern and luxurious? Well, either way, we've got you covered. Hey everybody, I'm joined by BJ Worzen, owner of West Shore Home, to talk a little shower and bath remodeling and how West Shore is making the entire process from start to finish fast and easy. BJ.
Thanks, Joe. At West Shore Home, we understand the headaches and stress a remodeling project can cause. That's why everything that we do is designed to make it stress-free for our customers.
A lot of people don't think of remodeling as stress-free, especially bath remodeling. So how are you making a complicated process easier?
Everything in our process can be done from the comfort of your own home. Give us a call and we'll send one of our bath experts out that has a time that's most convenient for you. And when it comes time for that installation, we're going to send one of our employee installers out and complete that project in as little as 1 day.
So no running out to big box stores and comparing samples and colors and then maybe waiting months for the installation. You're saying this is an all-inclusive process, making it really fast and easy for customers. That's great. Now, BJ, I understand you have a flash sale going on right now. Tell us about that.
That's right, Joe. Right now, anyone that gives us a call, we're going to do free installation on all shower and bath remodeling projects. On top of that, we're going to be doing 12 months, no interest, no payment financing. That means you can get that bath project done right now and you don't have to make any payments or pay any interest until 2024.
Free installation, that's a great offer. Well, let's see some projects you've done recently.
Absolutely, let's take a look. Here, we were able to completely remove an outdated shower and bath and install something that matched the rest of their bathroom. That low step feature is going to make getting in and out of that shower really easy. And the sleek matte black hardware looks amazing. Here's a few more. All of these were installed in 1 day, and just a reminder, for a limited time, anyone that calls will get free installation on their shower and bath project.
BJ, thanks so much. Folks, call West Shore Home now for this limited time offer. It's free installation on all shower and bath projects. Plus, for limited time, BJ is doing 12 months of no payments and no interest financing. Get your shower project now and don't worry about making a single payment until 2024. Call West Shore Home now.
Welcome back into First Alert Weather Extra. Live look from Jasper tonight. The wind's picking up. That breeze is still a factor for us out there this evening. Coleman County is one area under a wind advisory. The National Weather Service in the Huntsville office has that one county highlighted, but anywhere to the north here especially, it is going to be a breezy night. Already, look at us seeing some of those showers showing up far northern Tuscaloosa County. Areas from Samantha back up to near Oatman here in Walker County. Perhaps a couple of isolated showers. This is what the forecast data is telling us tomorrow morning, starting out the day. We're going to have some rain in here along an axis. It's going to kind of stall out here across central areas. Notice that 6 o'clock, still quite a bit of rain out there through the morning, even lunchtime, still seeing some showers. So yeah, kind of cloudy and kind of rainy to start the day for a lot of these areas there to the south, but that's going to start moving north into the afternoon as we warm up. Maybe a storm out there. If we do have a storm, greatest chance areas north and west. We'll have to watch here, far northwest areas, maybe a hail producing producer as those temperatures warm up with that boundary as kind of a focal point, sometimes can kick off a storm. So we'll need to watch those areas to the north. But winds, again, will pick up tomorrow afternoon and evening out of the south. That's what we call a low-level jet becoming more established as we go into the day on Thursday. And here it comes right here, another front that's going to move in, and this is going to be a sharp transition that we're about to experience from Thursday and into Friday. As this moves in, notice out ahead of it, temperatures in the 70s. This is way too warm for February. I mean, 15 plus degrees above average. If we see 76, I mean, we're flirting with 80 degrees in parts of Alabama on Thursday. And then what happens here Thursday as that line moves in and the temperature's warm, you can see how the chances are that some storms could develop. You see that if we get some lone, what we call discrete supercell storms that try to develop out there, that increases the chances for seeing a tornado. I think the conditions will become favorable. The warmth, the wind energy is there into the afternoon, so stay alert starting around lunchtime, and then right there through 6, 7 o'clock, you can see a pretty good chance that we're going to have some rain, storms, and hopefully this trends the other way. But we still see a lot of those ingredients that check the boxes there for Thursday. Right now, Storm Prediction Center has us in a slight risk for severe weather. Wouldn't surprise me if we saw more enhanced risk in these areas to the south. And again, I mentioned all modes of severe weather possible. So not only that threat of an isolated tornado, it's the threat for large hail that's also going to be a factor as well. And the entire state's included here, but I think as we get closer to Thursday, we may be able to lock in on an area that might have that peak risk. And I would say we'd really, for us, really going to have to kind of watch here off to the south as we start to heat up. So it will be interesting to see some of that new data coming in tonight. Regardless, the weather is going to shift into a very stable setup beyond that Thursday time frame. I promise some big improvements going into Friday. But look at that. We go from 73 to 48. For a high temperature on Friday, so a noticeable drop-off. Weekend still looks dry, and we do have the first alert for showers coming back for Monday and Tuesday of next week. But what's interesting here is that we're dealing with 70-degree temperatures. I've even noticed in the neighborhood, if you look closely, you can see on all the trees, it looks like things, some hints there that some plants are wanting to bloom. It's like an early spring sign that we're seeing across the region and in the weather. But I do caution that March is full of surprises when it comes to the weather, and sometimes we can have snowstorms in the month of March. So we can't say goodbye to winter just yet, and meteorologist Lauren Linehan standing by to show us what's happening in that long-range forecast. And Lauren, what are you seeing out there? I know you've been taking a closer look at some of that new long-range data.
Yeah, well, Wes, like you said, March can always hold some surprises. Certainly 1993 taught us that. But as we look at 6 to 10 days from now, it still looks like not just us here in Alabama, but a good portion of the U.S. could be seeing above average rainfall. So as we look at those potential storm tracks as we get beyond the 7-day, here we are next Wednesday, the 22nd. We, once again, what a surprise, have another storm system that's going to be moving through. So we'll certainly watch this for severe threat. Nevertheless, we do know this far out, it's just going to be bringing us more rain. And then it looks like we could briefly dry out that Thursday, maybe another disturbance moving around us to the south as we get into that following Friday. And the next weekend, February the 25th and 26th, the potential for another system coming in. So it still just looks like an active weather pattern with disturbances coming through that could be bringing some rainfall potentially into the following Monday. February is always such a short month, but it does look like as we wrap up February, we could still see that active pattern holding on. And 6 to 10 days from now, it still looks like warmer than average temperatures, those hints of spring, as Wes was mentioning. I mean, check it out. Look at our forecast highs going into next week. Yeah, one of our models is spitting out 80 degrees. Now, will that necessarily happen? No, but we're going to keep an eye on it. So could happen, not a guarantee at this time, but then another little weekend cool down. It seems we have the cooler weekends and then the warm-ups during the week, and it looks like that last weekend in February, no exception. Coming up on First Alert Weather Extra, we'll take one final look at that Super 7-day forecast. We'll be right back.
Every storm has a story. Where it came from, where it's going, and the lives impacted in between. Where our story begins is with your First Alert. warning you well ahead of time so the chapter in between isn't filled with surprises. The largest team on your side, dedicated to telling the story that starts and ends with you. This is why we First Alert.
First Alert, we are tracking
In times like this,
We now have a tornado warning that's active.
having a way to see and hear what's happening on your phone,
The most intense part of this storm right now is tracking towards Shelby County.
that means everything.
Okay, you need to get in your safe place now. Stay there. We will let you know when this warning expires. Stay with us.
Download the First Alert weather app today. Stay alert. Stay with the First Alert weather team. Mornings, they're yours. Where you start fresh, get your body moving, and tackle a new day. Our mornings are for you. Janice, Mike, Mickey, and Toy, starting early and staying with you all morning long. With more voices speaking to you where you are, and getting to the point with more First Alert weather and traffic from the source you trust. Always on your side. This is Good Day, Alabama.
Welcome back to First Alert Weather Extra. I'm meteorologist Lauren Lenahan. Obviously, we talk about weather on here, but you know we always have to throw in some cute animals too. So, FYI, a shelter in the Philippines is spreading puppy love this Valentine's Day. The Philippine Animal Welfare Society invited people to book a date with one of the dogs up for adoption. They're hoping the furry friends will eventually find forever homes. The animal rights group located in Manila says most of the dogs were victims of abuse or neglect. So these opportunities to socialize can help prepare them for adoption in the future. The rescue group cares for over 200 animals at its Manila location, and the proceeds from the dating event will go towards maintaining and running the shelter. Oh my goodness, those dogs are so cute, and I know I gotta go get in some cuddles with Ophelia on my dinner break, my cat, but we love dogs too. So over the next 7 days, especially the next couple days, still gonna be pretty warm with that chance of rain and storms in the forecast. The best chance we're seeing some strong to severe storms on Thursday. Then another little weekend cool down, much cooler on Friday and Saturday. And then by next week, looks like we're going to be seeing that active pattern kick back into high gear and those temperatures kicking into high gear too. But Wes will have an update tonight on First at 9. In the meantime, catch us back here on Weather Extra tomorrow night at 6:30. I'm meteorologist Lauren Lenahan. Have a safe and happy Valentine's Day.